Good morning, I'm Chris Fox, and today we're going to talk about how you can write both faster and more consistently. This is something that I have struggled with for many, many years, and I've really made it a study, trying to become as efficient as possible. And what I discovered is the most important part of your writing career, of doing this consistently and well, is going to be your ability to manage flow state. So if you're not familiar with flow state, it is also known as the zone. That's what athletes call it. If you go back to ancient Greece, they referred to it as your genius. So you weren't a genius. You had this external muse that would come down from the heavens and infuse you with this magical ability, and you would create the best words or sculpture or painting of your life. This flow state concept is something that is studied very heavily these days, and one of the things that modern science has allowed us to do is to see how it works neurologically. We can quite literally see which areas of your brain are lighting up when you're in a flow state. And those areas are quite different than when you are doing something like, say, editing. So the crux of what works for me, at least, is separating your editing and your writing process. I do writing in sprints, as many of you know, and as explained in 5,000 words per hour. And the reason that I do that is I am turning off my inner critic and focusing solely on creation. When you do that, you're creating a fertile ground for flow state. You're basically allowing yourself to get into flow state. If you're editing at the same time that you're writing, that's much, much more challenging to do. Because as humans, we actually cannot truly multitask. There's a reason we have laws that prevent you from being on a cell phone when you're driving. If you're driving and you've got a cell phone in your hand, you look down to the cell phone, you look back at the road. You look down to your cell phone, you look back at the road. You're not really multitasking. You're switching back and forth between tasks very quickly. If you were a computer that can truly multitask, then you would have cores in your CPU, and each core could be doing something at the same time. So you could drive and you could be on your cell phone, and there'd be no reason for cell phone laws. Since that's not something we as humans can do, we really need to focus on the brain state that we're after to the exclusion of all else. In other words, you want to turn your inner critic off. The part of your brain that would normally be editing as you write, put it to sleep. Focus solely on the writing itself. Now, I do that in writing sprints. I do it with a timer where I'll start a stopwatch and I'll turn off all distractions and I'll know what I'm going to write ahead of time. And I'll just crank the scene out. And in my case, I'll crank all of my scenes out and finish a manuscript before I allow myself to edit. If it's easier for you to do it on a chapter by chapter basis, just do a writing sprint and create a chapter and then go back and edit it, that's fine too. But the reason for doing it this way is you are allowing yourself the freedom to get into flow state. And then later, you're still doing the analytical work that is so important, which is going to pay dividends. If you, let's say, write 5 chapters in flow state, and you manage to churn them out, and let's say you go back and you look at this and you realize that your dialogue is weak and your description's not great, and you've got typos, that's great. You're going to go through that with your analytical mind. As long as you're not doing a writing sprint, you're allowed to put that analytical hat back on. And as you're going through your work, you're going to learn the things that you do consistently wrong. And the beauty of this system is once you understand what you're doing wrong, the next time you sit down to do a writing sprint, you won't make those mistakes again. If you have a problem like I did with dialogue tags, once you understand how dialogue tags should be properly used, and it's become training, you get how it works, you'll just do it correctly going forward. So you create sort of this loop, this process, this circle, where you're going to write the best words that you can, then you're going to analyze and edit those words after the fact, not during, and you're going to learn what you did wrong. You're going to read books on craft that are going to teach you how to do it better, and then you're going to sit down again and you're going to write, and then you're going to edit, and then you're going to write, and then you're going to edit, and you're going to write. And what happens over time is you get to a point where the words that you are turning out at the best speed that you can do are going to be the best words that you can produce. So this is why when I did the 21-day novel challenge and I wrote Destroyer, that book did so well. I've been practicing the system for so long that I can now both write quickly and efficiently, and the words come out great. I still do editing. I mean, that's a process I think that never really goes away, but I have enough practice now where I need less of it, and I'm able to write and edit much more quickly than I did before. So if you want to improve your writing, if you want to write faster and more consistently, and you are not currently doing writing sprints, I recommend you give them a try. Try it for a week. And you know what? You may find that you're one of those writers who has to edit and write at the same time, and if that's your system and it works for you and you're really skilled at switching back and forth between them, great, do it. But if you're not, try this way. Try writing in sprints, not going back and editing as you're writing against the clock, and only worrying about editing after the fact. And I think what many of you will find is it's a more efficient way for you to get the words down and then to edit them and improve them. And if you do this consistently, you're going to find that you write faster and you get down a lot more words and you finish a lot more books, and that's what leads to a career in this field. If you want to be an author, you've got to write consistently. I mean, that's pretty much the #1 piece of advice everybody from Stephen King to Brandon Sanderson says. You've got to write consistently. So give it a shot. Try writing sprints. If you're unsure how to do it, you can check out my book, 5,000 Words Per Hour. There's a link to that. If you sign up to the mailing list, I'll give you a free copy. If not, it's free in Kindle Unlimited as well, available on Amazon or Audible. So give that a look, give it a try, and I would love to hear in the comments what you think. All right, guys, I'm going to get back to the writing.